Just another year? I don't
That's
know.
how many teeth you got, right? 28 plus 4.
Yeah, 32.
32. This is a toothy episode. Thanks for joining us for Reblogatog Toothy Edition. I don't know.
No, that's the intro that's getting put on there.
Back to the Future of Commander, episode 88, Chatter of the Squirrels, was much cooler. Because I wrote something up for that. But 32, I was top of my head. Anyway, we missed a week due to some technical difficulties that were beyond our control. And that's all we're going to say about that. And so we have a bunch of stuff. I've culled it down quite a bit, but
we got a couple weeks of stuff we're making up here.
A couple weeks of stuff, and we're just going to roll through it here. Maybe alternate, and I don't know how we're doing this.
All right, well, here, I'm just going to start. The first question we got here, exiling a player on its own doesn't seem too different from destroying target player. Could Silver Border flicker a player? Probably. Would that do anything? Maybe reset them to 20 life? That's fair.
I think there's some more stuff in this vein as we get going.
I was ready to say, seems a little out of left field to start with.
Can I have my birthday trivia, please? Can you tell me? This is Reblogatog. If you're new here,
yeah,
we follow Mark Rosewater's Tumblr account called Blogatog and regurgitate what we find interesting on it each week.
For you.
So that's what we're doing. Can I have my birthday trivia? Something that Mark Rosewater does. You could lie, sure. I guess you could ask every day if you're that kind of person. But anyway, can you tell me something about the dinosaurs of Ixalan?
Ooh.
The dinosaurs were originally the blue-green faction, but too many people kept drafting them. So we moved them to white, red, green to allow more players to draft dinosaurs. Happy birthday. I didn't know that.
Dinosaurs are popular, man.
They were drafting them too much, so I had to move them.
Well, you did notice dinosaurs and pirates were the 3 colors. The other were the 2 colors, because everybody wanted to play dinosaurs or pirates, man.
Pirate dinosaurs is the way to go.
Oh, man, was it ever.
When you can crew your pirate ship with a dinosaur, you are living the dream.
It feels good.
Read that and tell me I don't know what
here we
doing.
are. My guess for flickering a player would be that it resets their life total to its starting value, drops all auras attached to that player, causes them to lose control of all permanents they don't own, and uses the end the turn mechanic if it's that player's turn. Exiles the current stack, etc. While the player is exiled, they and their permanents are essentially phased out as far as attacking and targeting are concerned. MaRo says that's an interesting take.
Yeah, that's just somebody wrote in, said that's how they thought flickering would work.
I think that's all sound. I'm not a judge, but it all sounds. Yeah,
some of that sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good.
That sounds pretty good. I don't know about the phased out part. But
yeah, but everything before that,
seems like you reasoned it out pretty good. Hi, Mark. Creature types question: what makes something a beast instead of other animal type? Beast is a catch-all creature type that catches creatures that fit a certain category, but don't have their own creature type. Also, some beasts are more wild monsters than animals.
Yeah, beast does get a little sometimes what some things are, Are there any effects whose only space in the color pie is colorless? No, not really. There are some weird things we did with Eldrazi that I don't know how often we'll do. And,
colorless is, you want to go ahead and do that one?
Yeah. Colorless is a little, it's a little hard to...
Colorless is just, anybody has access to it, basically.
Yeah.
So, it's usually expensive.
And what do you have, what kind of identity do you give the lack of color?
Right.
Right, so back to flickering people. Related to all this flickering, destroying, exiling a player stuff, Teferi's protection lets a player phase themselves out. Could there ever be a black bordered card that reads target player phases out? Highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely.
That makes me a little sad, actually, though. Oh. I want to phase somebody out.
Have you ever gone into a design file after receiving a request and just fulfilled it? In other words, if someone asked for more dwarves, have you ever just spontaneously made a dwarf on the spot to see how far it gets in design? MaRo says, I add things into files based on requests I get all the time. The only problem is I add things early in the process, so there are a lot of other eyes that have to okay it.
It's hard to sneak it past. Not a question, but a thank you to Wizards. While the movie studios commit suicide by not releasing product and running their distributors out of business, I work at a theater, I understand. What did Wizards do? They donated $200 booster boxes of an awesome set to help keep LGSs afloat. A very, very sincere thank you from an appreciative customer of both Wizards and LGSs.
Yep.
Thank you. And MaRo says you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah, and they gave us an opportunity to double that amount. I ended up getting like 3 cases of that.
Uh-huh. And then they also sent you out your Secret Lair April Fools for free.
Yep.
It's another little bonus thing.
Yep. Following up on the question about colorless, if the 5 colors contain space for every possible Magic mechanic or design, what is the role of colorless cards? What do they signify or do differently from colored cards? Any deck can play them, and they can, as with artifacts, have good flavor.
Like Scour from Existence. I mean, it's almost semi-flavorful, but it's 7 mana, but it's all generic, but you just wipe something away. I started playing Magic in 2015, but I would have been very upset opening a Steam Flogger boss. And after all these years, I would be even madder. Is it fair to make players pay for a silver-bordered card when they're actually looking for standard utilities? Steam Flogger boss is a black-bordered card.
It is.
Also, if you don't like cards hinting at things that don't exist, you wouldn't have liked Future Sight. That's exactly true.
Hi, Mark. Could the rules, both black border and silver border, support the introduction of a third characteristic in the power toughness paradigm? Black border would have a very hard time with it. Silver border is much more easygoing. Now this made me think, what would you put down there?
Right,
like
power
IQ? Charisma? What? We're making a D&D set next year. Is it going to be charisma on there? I mean, what would you put down there? Power, toughness, and weight?
I don't know.
How heavy is this thing?
So it's a heavyweight bout now? Weighing in at...
Weight, IQ, I don't know what else there'd be. I
want to see the IQ on Goblin cards.
We could use negative numbers. Right. We could use negative.
All right. How have Zendikar Rising in general and the party mechanic in particular been received? Personally, I'm a huge fan of both. They've both been received pretty well. Party plays really well in Limited. Just super smooth playing in Limited, I think.
Something I found in the Making Magic archive from way back when I started playing. Rule number 1, no land can be strictly better than a basic land. Unless I missed something, this rule held for a long time until the pathway showed up. What changed? We decided that not having a basic land type and not being a basic land was enough to make it not strictly better. I will admit that this is us pushing this rule more than we have in the past. If this experiment doesn't work, we might not push it in this way again.
I think it worked, but I don't know if I want to see them pushing that way anymore, because you pushed a long ways that way with the pathways. I think. They're very close to when the people make the argument about them being better than a basic land. I can still firmly go no, but they can make a pretty good argument. If or when dinosaur and dragon on the same creature. If, but a high percentage if. Why not? Why is that an if? That should be a when. That should be a soon.
Dinosaur, dragon, dinosaur?
Yeah.
Why doesn't the new Omnath go in Wooburg order?
Why don't certain cards, I've wondered this for anyway.
Just noticed for the first time tonight that the cards pips go red, green, white, blue. And no one in our play group could figure out why, since it isn't the order the colors were added in. There is an order for every color combination. 4 color mana costs put the mana cost in order around the color wheel, starting with the first color after the missing color.
No black.
You would
red,
get
green, white, blue.
No white, you would have blue, red, or blue, black, red, green. No green, you get it.
I've always been curious.
That's how they do 4 color.
I've always been curious because it doesn't matter. In 3 colors, sometimes I'm like,
see,
3
we found
colors?
an interesting one.
Yeah.
How many of you out there like that one?
Does high percentage if mean something is more or less likely? More likely.
A high percentage if.
Yeah, it's a thumbs up.
It's really iffy. No, it's less iffy. Wait. Okay. It's more likely. The turnaround time on seeing new non-deciduous mechanics. It took 21 months for Sagas to return between Dominaria and Theros Beyond Death.
Sagas have a chance
At becoming deciduous, he says. That's why there was such a quick turnaround. Because they were very popular, and with as many return sets as we do a year, half of them, there's a good chance you could do those deciduous.
Yeah, they're just so flavorful. If you're new, evergreen means it's available all the time. That's like flying and trample, stuff like that.
Yeah. Deciduous is something that's available whenever a designer needs it, but it appears a little less frequently, like scry.
Yeah.
That's a deciduous mechanic.
Is it really still?
I think so.
Okay, because it seemed... Treasure is the one I was going to pop up. It turned deciduous very quickly after it was first created, and we see a treasure card or two in a lot of sets. The only thing that would make Kark the Thumbless better would be if it also required the coin flipping to be performed without using your thumbs. You can make that a house rule. That's from the man himself. I'm just saying.
If you haven't seen Commander Legends previews, it's all out there now.
Kark the Thumbless.
Can a permanent be neither colored nor colorless? Can I be bald and hairy at the same time, or neither?
Is this devoid? This is kind of devoid, right?
No. They are opposite states. Not having a color defines you as colorless. It's right there in the name. Colorless.
I think what he's asking for is devoid. I'm just saying. Because it made a colored thing colorless. So it was kind of both and kind of neither.
No.
I'm just saying. There's colored mana symbols on there. Ask, Commander, color identity. Hi, Mark. I know this might be a bit odd, but one thing I've been noticing is that a lot of the logos for sets released in the last couple of years have been using the same font on packaging and boxes. And
Valerian.
And I feel like as a result, they all tend to blur together a bit visually. They don't communicate the feel of each set they represent super well, with a lot of them just being variations on the Valerian font. Would it be possible to request more varied-looking logos like the sets pre-Dominaria? You'll be happy to know that upcoming Premier set logos won't all be in Valerian.
But that's their font. Jace is going to be pissed.
All right. I hope we get something cool and kind of runic looking for Kaldheim and everything,
Was it a conscious decision not to have any red cards make food? Yeah. Red is the last color in life gain, so yeah.
Like, I can't even... Like, red life gain... Form of the Dinosaur. I played that and a jank deck in Standard for a while.
That's messed up if you consider that life game.
Your life total becomes 15. In a red deck, that's kind of life gain.
I guess it could.
I don't know if there's a single red card I can think of that says you gain life. So
That was short, so I'm going to take the next
Yeah.
one. Hi, Mark. I just want to say that it hurts a little to see old characters getting a card in Commander Legends as uncommon, limited filler cards. I would rather wait some years more to see a version I could actually play as Commander than having, for example, a new Radiant, the Archangel,
yeah.
sitting around my Commander zone as decor. It is even worse for characters getting the first representation in the game this way.
I just want to say real quick, I agree with that very last part. For the creatures getting their first card, I can see. The others,
I don't think so. We just did a sort of a set review. We went through some of the stuff, and there was some really sweet
there are
uncommons
some really
in it
sweet uncommons.
with
I'm going
first
to agree.
representations.
I don't know about all of them. I just haven't been through all.
Part of making a set like Commander Legends work is having uncommon legendary creatures.
That's true.
If we made all of those new and none old characters, I'd be getting letters about how we're making all the fan favorites hard to get. We do make new cards for characters that already have cards, so just because they're getting an uncommon now doesn't mean they'll never get a rare or mythic rare later.
That's true.
Trying to please everybody means you end up not pleasing enough folks, apparently, in Magic terms.
Well, I was just thinking in the question, like, they use Radiant, and Radiant already has a card. Like, that's not the best example to me. Like, somebody getting their first card that's maybe somewhat important. In the old story, maybe that could leave some feel bad for some big Vorthoses, but, you know, like, Radiant has a card, you know.
Yeah.
Has community feedback ever changed a set? After people heard about Core 21, they were worried about 3 new powerful Teferi cards. But at that point, you were pretty deep into the set's design. So let's say there were 3 Teferis in the handoff. Would you change it? And or would it be too late in development? And or would that feedback be too early to take seriously? It depends a lot on how strong the feedback was and where in design the affected set is. Yes, we have changed things based on feedback of current sets.
Well, I think by the time we knew there was 3 Teferis or whatever he's saying there.
Well, when we found out
like-
it was the Teferi set, we
Yeah.
thought there would be 3 Teferis like there was 3 Chandras the year before.
Oh, yeah.
There didn't end up being, but everybody was like, oh my goodness, we're going to get 3 Teferis. So,
Is Prismatic Piper the first card to include the Wooburg Circle on its face art? Not including uncards that depict the back of a Magic card.
right.
It's not even close to the first one. Magic has done a lot of mana circles in art. Or vaguer representation of the 5 colors.
Huh.
So no.
Huh. What is wrong with the Grand Creature Type update? It made some changes that are next to impossible to know about unless you are familiar with the change.
Yeah, so some years ago they updated a lot of creature types.
Like hundreds, thousands,
Hundreds
I don't know.
slash thousands, yes.
Lots.
in Gatherer. And unless you know them or you look them up, like I've got a cleric deck with Athreos and Commander.
Right.
And a lot of them don't say they're clerics on them, but they are clerics because I looked
Right.
them all up because I play with a lot of the older cards.
Yeah.
They don't say cleric on them, but they are.
Creatures used to just have one creature type most of the time instead of the race class system that we have now. And legendaries for a long time didn't have any other types unless it was actually in rules text. There was a few that would be in rules text that it counts as a, but if not, they're just summon legendary or summon legend, you know.
Can I get a maybe on whether we'll ever get snow-covered waste? It's a long shot as it requires a world with both. But I never say never.
It'd be cool, but...
And then, hey, Mark, is there a chance for gnomes in the D&D set? There is a chance.
That'd be cool. Although I have to admit, Magic does have its own race. It's almost gnomes. The Kithkin very much make me think of gnomes when I look at them.
I did too, so you can have this one.
Does Krark the Thumbless... That's my Krark salute right there. Does Krark the Thumbless mean that Krark's other thumb is canon and black bordered?
This is good.
Clark just loses his thumbs regardless of the multiverse he's in.
He just can't handle it.
Can't hang
Silver
on to his
bordered,
thumb.
black bordered, gold bordered, orange bordered, whatever borders we come up with, he can't hang on to them.
I love Clark.
Any chance of ever getting a set with no humans in it? I used our R&D time machine to make it happen back in 2007 in Lorwyn. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Says MaRo. I didn't do it. I don't have access to that machine, but he does.
The R&D time machine, huh?
Yeah.
I'd really like a mono green commander legal card with Rofello's ability. Is there any hope? Being that you can't use Rofello's,
he's banned.
Odds are the ability is problematic.
I mean, you want to pay 10 mana for it?
Yeah, but
Maybe then. What point is there at that point?
There's not a lot. Not a lot.
I will always keep my Rofello's casual deck together, even though I don't play any kitchen table, because I got 4 of them, and it is fun.
Yeah, but
Mono green Rofello's. Play the big fatties on like turn 3. A couple of them.
Yeah.
You can just ramp really fast.
You ramp quick, yes.
Thank you for bringing back Mana Burn with the Viashino. It's a Viashino Shaman in Commander Legends. I also love the way you guys added an ability which is actually relevant to the burn. He says, glad you like it.
Yeah, it's great to see Mana Burn back. Which color is characterized by prizing authority over individual choice? I think he's right here. White believes in the good of the group over the good of the individual. That's very central to their everything. Law and order.
Why don't black and green like each other? They don't seem like enemies. And so MaRo says, destiny versus free will. So black believes in destiny, green in free will.
No. Other way.
Oh, sorry. Green believes in destiny. Yeah.
Black's.
Green, free will. Life versus death. Yeah. Think y'all can figure that one out.
Right.
Symbiosis versus parasitism. Mm-hmm. Hope I pronounced that right.
You did.
Interconnectivity versus individualism. And growth versus decay. That's why they're enemies.
That is why.
They look at things kind of opposite, but boy, they sure play good together.
They sure do. Life and death. They really mesh up. And that's why I think they have so many overlapping abilities. They do some of the same things like Graveyard Shenanigans because life and death are very similar. All right.
Let's say... I just did that one, yeah.
I know mechanically all kobolds are O1s, but I need a Vorthos answer for why Rograk is an 01 despite wielding a sword. Is he just too small? Incompetent with a weapon? Is the sword made of cardboard? What's up? MaRo says, it's made of 10.
It's made of 10. He's got a 10 sword.
It just kind of crumples when you hit something.
So what's the rationale behind Jeweled Lotus?
Knew the question.
Hey, we finished up 2 weeks ago. We're on to last week now.
Yeah.
I believe it was designed to help strengthen decks that play less colors.
As a lot of...
The format has so many forces pushing the other direction.
Yes.
Because it only makes one color, and it has to be your commander's color. So if you're playing a 3-color commander, it's going to help with the generic.
Right.
But it's not going to help with those other 2. So
right.
You're not going to be casting, a 3-color commander on turn 1.
Yeah.
More than likely with that.
And this, if you notice, if you pay attention here with Commander Legends, they really have kind of tried to push monocolored stuff. I like that. I like when they do that. Scavenge originally granted abilities in addition to counters in design, right? Now that ability counters are a thing, could we see a riff on Scavenge that uses them? MaRo says, if the 2 things show up in the same set.
Now that we've had ability counters, it's kind of cool
right.
to think in that way. So it'd be interesting to see.
It would be interesting to see. There.
Is Bolas's Citadel allowing mono black to sacrifice enchantments a bend or a break at all? It's a bend, but it's very unreliable if your intent is to sacrifice a problemsome enchantment.
Yeah. I mean, I never thought about that, but you can sack your own enchantments away to Bolas' Citadel. But yeah, it's not a very efficient way to try to do it. You got to sack 10 things.
Yeah, it's not the best way to get rid of that thing that's really hurting you.
Right. I got to get rid of this demonic pact.
I've only got 9 permanents on the field. I really need to get rid of this now.
Oopsie. I'd like to share with you something about my current thoughts of Commander Legends. Not my thoughts, this guy's thoughts. When the preview started, I thought, picking the right cards I need from the set will be easy. There's no way that many partners will catch my eye. And now, a few days later, I am at a total loss. There are way more uncommon partners that I want to build around, and that's not even including the rare and mythic ones. So give everyone virtual high fives, and then an extra high five to whoever thought of giving Kodama reach. Will do.
This is from Halloween, October 31st, so we've had even more since then.
Oh, yeah.
Now that we have seen Hans Eriksson, are we going to learn what happened to him and Safi? The story is a little unclear, especially when looking at Revenant's flavor text as well. So, if you're unfamiliar, Hans Eriksson is the younger brother to Safi Eriksdottir.
Yes.
And they both first appeared on Lurgoyf in the flavor text.
Yes.
And there is actually a card called Ak Hans Run in Unglued.
Yeah, here they referencing
them.
They pop up on the card Revenant out of...
Because it's a Lurgoyf. It's a black Lurgoyf Revenant is.
Out of Stronghold, I believe that's where that's from. And they pop up several times over the last 20-some years of Magic.
So Hans and Safi were out together, says MaRo. Safi saw the Lurgoyf and warned Hans. He made it away. She didn't. And I'm going to take the next one, too. I imagine, this is somebody else saying, I imagine how cute the art of Eric Worried Parent could be. The background would depict a 7-year-old Safi leading a 5-year-old Hans by the hand from some oversized bumblebees. Yeah. Hans licking delicious honey from his other hand as he runs. They're both wearing flower crowns. The foreground would capture the moment their prematurely balding father, Eric, stops hanging laundry on a clothesline to rescue his kids from the bees. And MaRo says, I like it.
I do too. I want to see Eric now that we've seen his son and daughter. As someone who has worked for over a decade in the same managerial position, hearing you cross the 25th anniversary with Wizards made me wonder. In your experience, would you consider your current position where you'd like to stay, or is there a position you feel more suited for with the company? MaRo says, the head designer is what I want to be. I focus my energies on getting there, and I have stayed in the position since 2003.
So, congratulations, MaRo. 25 years at WotC.
Yes.
That happened this
1st of November.
This past week.
Yeah.
He hit his 25-year anniversary. So congratulations on that, and he's where he wants to be. He's not trying to become ruler of all Hasbro or whatever the stepping stones are.
He wants to make Magic cards. He loves making Magic cards.
That's his thing. That's his jam. Hey, did you know that the only letters of the alphabet who don't have a Planeswalker starting with them, or at least one with a card, are I, P, Q, Y, and Z? MaRo says, I did know that. Man, that's probably going to bum that person out.
They are working their way through the list, apparently. Hi, Mark. I was worried that Commander Legends would push forward an arms race in the format. And while cards like Jeweled Lotus are getting headlines and think pieces, I want to congratulate Gavin and the team on expanding the horizons of all levels of EDH. High fives. It says virtual high fives to be administered. And yeah, because there's a Jeweled Lotus, but really, other than that, I can't think of a lot of stuff that's like, oh my god, what are you doing? You know?
Commander is definitely going to change a lot because there is an influx of a lot of cards specifically for it. So time's going to tell.
I'm just happy to see a whole bunch of like 8, 9, 10 mana powerful cards instead of like 2 and 3 mana powerful cards.
Yeah.
Do the big flashy Timmy 10 mana stuff because, by God, yeah, I should have a 10/10 that cascades 4 times and wins me the game for 10 mana. Come on.
9 casting cost sorceries that do cool things.
Yeah.
Dig those. All right. Zendikar's identity is landfall. Innistrad has transform.
Right.
Theros has enchantment everything. Could tribal as a card type exist on just Lorwyn Shadowmoor as its identity? I really want tribal cards to return, but I know it's hard to apply or grok across all planes. Maybe it could be on just 1 to 2 planes. For the players that love tribal, we want it back. And you said it's best to make a game that some people love rather than everyone just likes. Now, if you're not familiar, if you're pretty new, there used to be a card type called tribal.
Right.
And they would put like elf or goblin, whatever the tribe was, on a sorcery or an instant or an enchantment. And they did away with it, and he's about to tell you why.
Yeah. You know how I found that out? Because I wasn't playing at that time.
Oh, yeah.
Right. As I was just going through something, and it was a Goyf ability, a Tarma Goyf-like ability or something, and I was listening to a podcast or reading something, and they just specialty. Remember, specialty for all your card types. And I was like, what? And then I started, sorcery, planeswalker, enchantment, creature, instant, artifact. What's the T? Tribal.
Anyway, says the problem with tribal is it's hard to do a little. Why is this goblin-themed enchantment a goblin and that goblin-themed enchantment not? Now I'm going to follow this up, so bear with me.
Yeah.
Why is this goblin-themed enchantment a goblin and that goblin-themed enchantment not? Maybe this goblin-themed enchantment was made on a plane where tribes know unique magic that's rare, and that goblin-themed enchantment wasn't. It's the explanation for Arcane, that the spirits of Kamigawa use a unique kind of magic. I never understood why these and poison or snow were treated differently. The box was opened when WotC made the types. It doesn't make more sense to never use them again. MaRo says, when you try something and it doesn't work and causes problems, you stop using it. And that's why there's no tribal.
Okay. Since I didn't get to play with it, I still think it's a cool, interesting take.
I'm going to wrap up with the final one up here.
Okay.
Sounds kind of like you're saying the problem with tribal card types is that people wanted there to be a lot more of it. The problem was that if we were consistent with its usage, it went on a lot of cards, yet seldom mattered.
Yeah.
Most tribal effects specifically affect creatures and don't mean anything to non-creatures. So it was adding a lot of words for minimal effect. That's why.
And it's just one more thing that can accidentally break something down the road.
One more thing.
Right. All right.
Closing in, we got like half a dozen left.
In today's article, you mentioned that Commander Legends doesn't have set boosters because they were invented too far into the set's development. I'm not sure whether I got the idea from somewhere or if I just came up with it out of nowhere, but I was under the impression that set boosters would only be made for Premier sets. As a huge fan of set boosters, could you help me by clarifying where we'll see them in the future? There are future plans, but we haven't announced them yet.
Oh, we get a little, little looky there.
Interesting.
So, stay tuned. Is Court of Grace or other white Monarch cards a break in white? If not, why not? When a set has a mechanic, we let colors have access to it, even if it bends things a little. And we'll talk about this all the time.
I mean,
bends get made because they fit set mechanics themes.
Right. I mean, white gets cycling. Cycling is draw a card in the reminder text of that ability, so it's a big overarching mechanic for a set. They get it.
I think I'm going to run with this again.
Okay.
It seems that Commander Legends isn't doing that much different for white. Monarch is pretty cool in white, but I expected more of a shift in its color pie. Keeper of the Accord seems to be the only big card. It is being saved for last, or is this it? The color pie adapts to the environment, but it takes time and adapts slowly. A lot of time, it's us dipping our toe, trying something out, and then expanding on things that work. In Standard, this happens faster because things rotate out and the environment is smaller. Shifting an environment with 27 years worth of cards in which nothing leaves the environment is not something that can happen quickly. So, patience. Patience.
You want to go ahead and follow up white card draw with the very last one?
Yeah.
And then I'll hit us with
You'll do that. Is white getting a card draw replacement for card selection, such as Underrealm Lich's ability, a bend or a break?
I love that card, by the way.
Asking if something is a bend or break doesn't really get to the heart of if something is printable.
That's true.
Obviously, we don't purposefully print breaks. But just because something is a bend doesn't mean we'll print it. Bends are allowed if it fits in with the larger theme and structure of the set as it relates to that color. I'm not sure if this is a severe bend or a break.
Actually, interesting answer there. All right, our last one here, guys. Mark, are there any mechanics or themes that you personally want to take another crack at in the way Innistrad redid Odyssey's graveyard thing? Mercantile world, a Japanese world, hand size matters. And Mark says he'd love another stab at a top-down Japanese world.
Which
Kamigawa Neon Dynasty,
which we know is happening.
Maybe? I don't know. It's so weird.
Why would they get?
I don't know. I don't know.
Did we talk about it here on Chatter?
I'm not sure.
I think we talked about it on Chatter. There is.
They registered a domain.
Kamigawa
Neon Dynasty.
Neon Dynasty. It is a domain they registered online.
Yeah.
Everyone assumes that there's a Kamigawa set coming.
In the works.
It's not coming next year. We know that.
We know, yeah.
And there were some hints at it, or not hints at it, but some things, some homages paid to it.
We got
in Commander Legends.
Well, and in Core 21, we got another cycle of shrines, which little Kamigawa for us.
Yep.
So
that's
maybe
exactly right.
I know everybody wants Kamigawa back, and I think they really just like teasing us with it at this point because they get the question. It gets talked about a lot. I think it won one of their polls of planes to go back to when MaRo did a poll or something, But then they always tell us that it wasn't liked. No one, But then all that does is make people ask for it more. I think.
Well, in franchise right. People ask for it.
That's fair.
If they can do a Japanese-inspired set that has the resonance that it needs to carry throughout the whole world, because I'm just going to tell you right now that Kamigawa at the time, I didn't get it. Okay, it's about spirits and ninjas?
Yep.
Is that what it's about? I don't understand. I didn't know the references to the cards.
Right.
I didn't understand the references. If you were Japanese, I'm sure that you did.
Right.
I did not understand them. So, if Kamigawa Neon Dynasty hits on something that I can grok a little better, I'd be very happy for that.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I think another thing that it really was back in those days that sets or blocks in general could really hit or miss because they'd go through so many mechanics even in a block back then. And they'd all be new, it seems like. Like with Kamigawa, It didn't seem like there was a lot of returning. It was all a lot of new, weird mechanics to go with all these cards. We didn't. And some of those mechanics were just flops, which doesn't help.
The reason that it's loved nowadays is because Commander exists. If Commander had never come into existence, Kamigawa would be languishing with Homelands.
Kamigawa was really the first, other than Legends, Other than Legends, Kamigawa was really the first legendary matters kind of set.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff out of Kamigawa that's because Commander exists, it's a thing.
Yeah.
If it weren't for that,
it's the first time we had uncommon legendaries, really, or a lot of them. It was
again, it'd be like Homelands kind of thing. So, anyway, guys, that's what we've got. We're all caught up again. Hopefully, we'll be back with you next week with no difficulties.
Right, no technical issues.
Correct. And until then, I guess we're going to sign off, and we don't have any... We need to sign off. We're 30-some episodes in with no sign-off
I know,
here.
we keep talking about
We got to sign off on Chatter.
I know. Later.
Where everybody knows your game.